Hello, everyone. Welcome back to today's Impact and Influence. Today, we're joined by Natasha MacDonald, General Manager of Harris Tripp. Harris Tripp is a family-run business located in Summerhill. They've been operating for 50 years now, and they have one of the largest rent rolls in Sydney, I believe. So welcome, Tash.
Thanks, Ali. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to chat to you today.
And we are very excited to hear what you have to say, share some of your knowledge, which I know there is a lot of. So Tash, I know your father started this business 50 years ago, which is amazing.
51 this year. 51.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such
Heading into the other side, chasing down that decade.
Amazing. So did you always know that you would end up in the business?
I sort of had a little laugh out loud when I read that first question, because I think if anyone had told me I would work in the family business 10 years ago, I probably would have laughed then and thought absolutely no way. My background is in marketing, sponsorship and events. And so I spent sort of 15 years doing that, and I'd lived in London for 10 years and met my husband over there and started a family. And we moved back to Sydney and, renovated some properties, and I wasn't working. And I rang my brother and my dad and I said, look, I'm at home with 2 kids, what can I do in the office? I'm a bit bored. I need something to do. And so they sort of said, oh, well, I'm sure we can find something for you to do. You can do some marketing, where at that point in time, we were stepping away from a First National franchise, of which we'd been part of for a very long time. We were rebranding and they needed some help with marketing. So I said, great, I'll come in and I'll do that. And was working a couple of days, and I sort of got in and I was looking around and I thought, what's going on in here? Where are the processes? Who's running this show? And I guess the rest, they say, is history.
Yes. And so just on that, I know your brother was running the business alongside your father at the time.
Yes.
But your brother's also a listing agent.
Yes.
So there was that whole where the focus wasn't on the business per se, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. I think most, selling principals can sort of understand the struggle between running a business and trying to focus on listing and selling. And at the time, Jay was running both the business and was the sales manager and with a primary focus on listing and selling. And yes. I think it's really challenging to try and be all things to all people, and it just wasn't working. And I think we very quickly determined that, we needed to separate the roles. So we very much run the business together, but I certainly have a focus across the business entirety, and he has much more of a sales focus.
Great. Yeah. And your role has evolved from marketing.
Yeah.
So
yes, my part-time role in marketing evolved quite quickly. I think when I first came into the business, there was very much a focus on property management. We had a very big rent roll at the time, which has grown substantially since, but it was very much, the bread and butter of our business. So it was natural that my focus went there first. I think we had a lot of staff that had been there for sort of 10, 15, 20 years. It was sort of quite an old school office at that point in time. And so I was lucky enough to work with my department head at the time, and we both started around the same time. And we sort of just really focused on breaking apart that property management business and sort of building it up from the ground up.
Great. And you guys have, and I think this number is probably needs a little bit of an adjustment.
I think it's slightly higher than your
great. It just continues to grow. So last I spoke with you, you had around 2,500 managements. Where's the number sitting at now?
So it's around 2,700 now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So that's a big growth. The last time I looked at that number was certainly less, I'd probably say maybe 6 months ago. What has been your growth strategy over the past 12 months, and how has this changed over the years?
Yeah, I think very much the last 12 months, it's been tightening the nuts and bolts, really bedding down processes, like eking out the most efficiency that we can from our tech stack, really focusing on customer experience, really making sure that we've got consistency with that process. I think we've had we launched a new website earlier this year, and we've really focused on that and what we can provide to our clients via that platform, as well as through our social channels. We've created some really nice marketing for not only, new landlords, prospective landlords, but also we've got a tenant welcome pack now. We've got videos. I think the marketing around the space, along with the processes, along with the tech stack, have really helped us amplify, our position in that space. So at the moment, we're very much focused on organic growth.
Great. Yeah. And I know that Harris Tripp invests a lot into their tech stack.
Yes.
You use all of the latest tech, which allows your property managers to essentially manage a higher number of properties, would you say?
I think so. I think there's a real danger with thinking that technology is going to solve all problems. And I think what I really understood on this journey, on this tech journey over the last few years, is that you really have to invest the time in optimizing your tech stack and understanding what each tech platform provides, including all of the new release options. And in our business, we've very much focused on having tech champions in our PM team. And that means that individual people or a couple of people look after each piece of tech. And they're the ones that are disseminating all of the information and updates to the team. And that's had a really great uptake. And it's also allowed us to audit the tech each year and understand what tech we need and what tech doesn't stack up and we can get rid of, because at the end of the day, we need to manage the cost base as well.
Exactly. And so many businesses, I think, look to take on new tech as it emerges into the market, but rarely do like a wardrobe cull of the tech that they have.
I think they think that it's a plug and play situation where, all my problems will be solved. I'll buy the tech, I'll plug it in and off we go and not have to think about it again, where it's very much not the case.
That's
and I think there's a real danger with doing that. And I think, as you would appreciate, as everyone in real estate appreciates, there's a new piece of tech being launched every week, if not multiple pieces of tech every week. And, you supposedly need this to be successful in real estate. So you have to be really discerning when it comes to what the tech's providing, what value it provides, what's the ROI on the tech that you're implementing, but also like really spending the time training the team. I think that's critically important.
Definitely. Yeah, there's so much tech that we implement, but then you might only use 10% of that actual platform.
And all of them have a roadmap to development. Tech is constantly evolving, and then you find that there's often overlap with some of the tech that you have in place, and so you're doubling up on tech. So it really is that sort of annual or biannual audit of each tech stack's really, really important.
Great. What would you say? So the business has been running for 50 years, which is a huge achievement. Not everybody's business can survive 50 years.
Yeah.
So what would your take be on what's contributed to the success of the business?
I think inherently the values and ethos laid down by my dad, and it's basically the way he operates in life, which is just around transparency and honesty and fairness. I think even last year we got a handwritten letter from someone that was a tenant of ours in the 80s. And they'd written to us saying that they had met my dad back then, and they said back in the 80s, no one gave tenants the time of day, and they still remember the way that he made them feel and the way he spoke to them. And they said, I said at the time, if I ever had the opportunity to sell my property, I would love it to be with Harris Tripp and ultimately with Grayden King. He's not listing and selling anymore, but Jay, so, it was just wonderful to receive that feedback, and it really goes to who we are as a business. And that's a very critical part to our business in terms of how we operate and the staff that we employ, and the mantra by which we operate. It's all about being fair in all of our dealings with, vendors, prospective purchasers, landlords, tenants. It's across the gamut. And I think you have to understand that real estate is more about people than it is about property, and operating in a suburban landscape. It doesn't afford you opportunities to behave in a way that, isn't fair and reasonable, because people have long memories and it will come back to bite you.
Yeah, that's right. Particularly a suburb like Summerhill. There are strong roots there and strong relationships. And I think a lot of what happens in that area is based on word of mouth.
Absolutely.
But that letter, that's the pinnacle of customer experience. I
Yeah.
hope you guys have that framed somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So heading into the 51st year or 52nd year, I
52nd,
suppose.
yeah.
Yeah. What's Harris Tripp's plan for the next 12 months?
I think this year I had to force myself to take a step back and appreciate the journey I've certainly been on in the last 8 years, because I think all too much, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I have lots of goals, and, I want them to happen here and now, but it's taken probably longer to get where we are than I first thought it would. But equally, I can stand back now and be sort of proud of where we've got to, or certainly where the business has come in the last 8 years. We've been on a real journey. But certainly I think we're at a place now where everything is humming really nicely. We've got a great tech stack in place across the business, and that will really allow us to grow from here. I think there's a danger with growing too quickly when all the wheels aren't in motion and everything's not aligned. And in a business of our size, and with a lot of, legacy issues and data issues and, rent roll acquisitions over time, it's taken some time to get to where we are now. And I think we're very clear on our vision. We're very clear on who we are as a business, and it means that we're ripe to grow from here in, a really great way. And I think that growth very much will be a focus on from a sales point of view. So we're still very much weighted towards PM, probably in a 60-40 split. So we're just looking to even that up.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah.
And so what advice would you give to any fellow business owners hoping to stay in real estate for as long as Harris Tripp?
I think the first and foremost is really look after your staff. I think you can't underestimate the importance of, really understanding your staff, understanding what their growth trajectory looks like, understanding what they want in their career. I think culture is also critically important, creating a culture that people want to come and work in, that's positive, that's inclusive, and having any negativity in that. I think, ridding your culture of that very quickly is really important. I think, customer experience across all aspects of the business is also critically important. That is first and foremost what people want these days. Doing what you say you're going to do, consistency in that. And then I say to my staff, in life, everything can be solved through communication. You don't have to have all of the answers in the here and the now, but if you let people know that you're looking into something or acknowledging that you've got an email, or people just want to know that you're actioning something. So I always think that clear communication or communicating with people will resolve 90% of issues.
Yes, most definitely. I so agree with all of your points, but that last point in particular, especially from a property management perspective, if you just let somebody know that yes, you've received it, this is where it's up to. Don't have an answer for you yet, but
I will get back to you. It's the escalation beyond them when they haven't heard from you, and it just builds and builds and builds until it blows up, and it's then much harder to de-escalate once it gets to that level.
Yes. Well, Tash, thank you so much for imparting your wisdom. We know that with a rent roll that large, surely there's a lot that we can all learn from you. So I truly appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time today. And I'm sure everyone will get as much out of this as I have.
Thanks for having me, Ali.
Thank you.